Okay, so picture this. Black Friday. Total chaos, right? And suddenly I'm convinced I need like a massive 75-inch TV.
Oh, been there.
Never mind that I haven't actually like sat down and watched TV in months,
Mhm.
but the flashing lights, the limited time only
Which
deals,
just gets swept up.
totally caved. And the worst part, I knew it was irrational even as I was like handing over my credit card. It's like that feeling in trading, you know?
It's that emotional brain at work. It's
Yeah.
really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And it happens to everyone.
Exactly. But now take that pressure cooker feeling, multiply it by like 10, and then add your hard-earned money to the mix. That's the mental battleground we're diving into today.
Absolutely.
With Jared Tendler's book, The Mental Game of Trading.
Great book.
It's all about decoding those emotional signals that can either make or break our trading.
The big thing is emotions aren't the enemy. They're actually valuable data. You see, most traders, they've got the technical skills down, they know their strategies, they manage risk.
Right.
But then one losing streak hits, and it's back to revenge trading or chasing losses. All that good work goes out the window.
Ouch. Yeah. That chasing losses scenario, that's a little too real, honestly. Tendler calls those C-game errors, right?
Yeah, C game.
Those moments when emotions take over and suddenly you're not making good decisions. He says even the most seasoned pros have them.
Oh, absolutely.
But the difference is they've learned to recognize and correct them so much faster.
It's like anything else. The more you practice, the better you get.
He calls this the A-game, B-game, C-game framework. And it really makes you think about your own trading. Like, when do you slip into C-game mode? What sets it off?
I think that's such a great point because it helps you build self-awareness,
Yeah.
which is what this framework is all about. It lets you track your progress. And not just in terms of profit and loss, but in the consistency of your decisions, which, let's be honest, is way more important in the long run.
So it's less about like never feeling fear or greed and more about recognizing when those emotions are like pushing you off your A game.
It's exactly. Let's say you're struggling with accepting losses. It's a really common one, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's so tempting to think, okay, my strategy is sound. I shouldn't be losing like this. And logically, it makes sense, at least on the surface.
Yeah, I used to fall into that trap all the time.
The problem is that logic assumes big losses won't happen, which, in the market, totally unrealistic.
Right.
Tendler calls his process for breaking this down the mental hand history. It's kind of like analyzing a poker hand, but for your emotions.
So you're like methodically breaking down a situation where maybe you didn't make the best trading decision.
Exactly. So you pinpoint the problem, like in this case, it's the inability to accept losses. Then you explain the logic behind it, why it seems to make sense,
Right.
find the flaw in that logic, and finally come up with a concrete way to correct it.
That's huge. It's like having this step-by-step system for identifying and addressing those mental leaks in our trading game.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, this mental hand history framework, you can apply it to any trading problem, not just losses. We're talking greed, fear, tilt, even overconfidence.
Yeah, let's unpack some of those trading demons, as Tendler calls them, starting with, I think, the one we've all experienced. Greed. You hit a few winners, and suddenly,
We're invincible.
right, like you can't lose.
You can't lose. Or you feel like, I need to be making money all the time. And that's when things get dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
That's when you start ignoring your risk management rules. You start piling into positions, chasing those hot stocks without doing your due diligence.
Have you ever gotten swept up in that, like, hot streak mentality? Not even just in trading, but just in life.
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to get caught up in that feeling of, like, I've got this, I can do no wrong. But then reality hits. And when it happens in the markets, it's usually a painful lesson.
It can be brutal.
It can be brutal.
Okay, so we've got greed, but then of course there's fear, which can be even more paralyzing, I think, sure. Because it's not just a general sense of fear, right? It's the fear of actual loss. Watching your hard-earned money just disappear. It's the fear of making a huge mistake that blows up your account. Or even, and this one gets me the fear of repeating past trading blow-ups, like once bitten, twice shy. But in trading, that hesitation, that can cost you opportunities.
Totally.
So how do we deal with that?
Well, in the book, Tendler talks about a trader named France who was just crippled by this need to be perfect, always waiting for those ideal setups.
Oh,
He'd
man.
miss out on great trades because they weren't perfect enough in his mind.
I can relate to that, trying to perfect every single entry and exit point. But the market doesn't reward perfectionists, does it?
Not at all. And get this, France wasn't a newbie. This was a seasoned scalper. trading the E-mini.
Wow. So someone who is used to making quick decisions.
Exactly. Fast-paced. It just goes to show these mental traps can get anyone, even the most experienced traders.
It's a good reminder that none of us are immune to these emotional pitfalls. Okay, so we've got greed, we've got fear. Now let's talk about tilt. That feeling when you're just like frustrated with the market, with yourself, and it just spirals from there.
Tilt of tilt, he calls it. Getting angry about being angry.
Oh, I know that feeling.
It's the worst, because then you start making impulsive decisions, ignoring your stop losses, chasing those losses even harder. Sound familiar?
Oh, yeah. It's like your rational brain checks out and the emotional one throws a party.
That's the way to put it.
Hmm.
But you know what I find fascinating? He breaks down the physical signs of tilt,
Really?
like gripping the mouse too tight, rapid fire clicking.
It's like your body's giving you a warning sign.
Exactly. And he gives some really practical advice for breaking that pattern, like just physically stand up.
Oh.
Step away from the computer. Something so simple, but it can be so effective. Makes you think about how important that pre-trade routine is, which we can get into later. But the key is having those strategies ready to go to break that negative momentum before it becomes full-blown tilt.
Yeah, it's about regaining control before emotions completely hijack your trading day.
Exactly.
Okay, so greed, fear, tilt. What about confidence? Or sometimes the lack of it?
Yeah, confidence is huge in trading. And one thing I really took away from the book is that it's not an on-off switch, you know?
Yeah.
It's multifaceted. It's always fluctuating.
So it's not just about, like, do I feel confident today? It's about understanding those different layers of confidence and how they're impacting our trading.
Exactly. You have to recognize the dangers of overconfidence, which can lead to reckless trading, but then also the dangers of a lack of confidence, which can make you too afraid to take any trades at all.
It's like that saying, too much of a good thing, right? Even confidence in the wrong doses can backfire.
Exactly. And you know what? It actually ties into something you mentioned earlier about those like home run trades.
The ones where we swing for the fences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are often a sign of low confidence, not greed.
Really?
We're trying to prove something to ourselves, make up for past losses, or validate our trading ego. We're seeking external validation instead of trusting our strategy and process.
Wow. That's a really interesting point. So it all comes back to that illusion of control, which I think we fall prey to in trading and just in life in general. We think we have more control over outcomes than we actually do.
It's so true.
It's a slippery slope. Okay, so we've covered a lot here, but there's one more trading demon that I think is important to mention. Discipline.
Ah, yes, discipline. That word that gets thrown around so much in trading.
Right, and often with a negative connotation, like it's some magical superpower that only a select few possess.
Exactly. Like it's something you either have or you don't. But what if I told you? Discipline is actually a skill, something you can develop.
Okay, hold on. So you're saying it's not some, like, innate quality. It's more like learning a new programming language or mastering a musical instrument.
Exactly. And that's so important for traders to hear, especially if they've always thought of themselves as undisciplined. It's not a life sentence.
That's a good way to put it.
And Tendler, he gives you these practical strategies to build that discipline muscle. It all starts with setting small, achievable goals. So instead of saying, I'm going to journal every single trade in detail, which, let's be honest, sounds exhausting.
Right, who's got time for that?
Right. How about I'm going to spend just 5-10 minutes journaling today?
I love that. It's like those bite-sized fitness challenges. Instead of, trying to run a marathon on day one, you focus on, like, a brisk walk around the block.
It's all about consistency, building that positive momentum.
Okay, I like it. So small goals, consistency. What else?
He also talks about using inspiration strategically. And I'm not talking about like plastering motivational posters everywhere.
Right, gotta avoid that trading guru cheese.
Exactly. It's about having those go-to sources of inspiration that you can tap into when you need them most.
I like it. So like when you're about to break your trading rules or deviate from your plan, you have that little reminder to keep you on track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we all have those moments, right?
Oh, yeah. Especially after a tough week in the markets, you've got a string of losses, you're feeling the pressure, and you're like one click away from a classic C-game error. What do you do?
Well, that's where his real-time recovery process comes in. It's a 4-step system for regaining control right when you feel those emotions taking over.
Okay, I'm listening. Walk me through it.
So step 1 is simply recognizing you're having an emotional reaction in the first place. This goes back to self-awareness.
Knowing your triggers.
Exactly, those early warning signs that you're heading into the danger zone.
So actually, before we even get to step one of real-time recovery, we need to have already done the work of like mapping out our emotional triggers.
Exactly, you got to know yourself,
Yeah.
know your patterns.
Okay, that makes sense. So I've recognized that, yeah, I'm having a bit of a meltdown here. Now what?
Now, this is the crucial part. Disrupt the momentum of that emotional response. Hit the pause button.
Easier said than done when your heart rate's up and you're glued to the charts.
Oh, absolutely. But there are techniques that can help. It could be something as simple as taking a few deep breaths,
Okay.
physically standing up,
Mm-hmm.
stepping away from the computer, or even just shifting your focus to something totally unrelated to trading for a few minutes.
Like what?
Listen to your favorite song, look at a funny meme. Sometimes you just need to change the channel in your brain for a minute to reset.
I like that. Change the channel. Okay, so I've recognized the emotional surge. I've disrupted it. Now what?
Now, we inject some logic into the situation.
Yeah.
This is where you combat those irrational thoughts.
The I can't lose thoughts. I need to make it all back right now. Yeah, those are dangerous.
The worst. And you fight them with pre-prepared logical statements.
So it's like having this mental arsenal of comebacks ready to go for when those emotional gremlins attack.
I love that analogy because it's like you're pre-writing your future self a get-out-of-jail-free card for when things get heated.
I love it. Okay, so give me an example. Let's say I'm about to chase a loss. What's my logical comeback?
Okay, how about this? Hope is not a strategy.
Ooh, I like that. Write that down. Hope is not a strategy.
Or, my trading plan accounts for losses. Stick to the plan.
Yes. Okay, that's powerful.
These logical statements, they should be personal to you, addressing your specific trading demons.
It's like your own personal hype man, but for like rational trading.
Exactly. Okay, so we've recognized, we've disrupted, we've injected logic. Step 4.
Hit me with it. How do we seal the deal?
Strategic reminders. These are predetermined rules or guidelines that you've set for yourself based on your trading plan and your risk tolerance.
So it's like having those guardrails in place to keep us from veering off course, especially when emotions are running high.
Exactly. They help you outsource that decision-making to your calmer, more rational self.
Okay, give me an example of a strategic reminder.
Let's say, you tend to overtrade when the market is volatile.
In there.
Your strategic reminder might be, no more than 3 trades per day when the VIX is above 20.
Okay, love it. Simple, but effective.
Or, when I feel the urge to overtrade, I will step away from my computer for 15 minutes and journal.
So smart. It's like those pre-committed decisions, they remove the temptation to rely on our emotional brain in the heat of the moment.
That's exactly it. And the best part? The more you practice this 4-step real-time recovery, the more automatic it becomes. You're literally rewiring your brain.
It's like building mental muscle memory for those high-pressure moments.
Yes. And it's not just about reacting in the moment. It's also about preventing those moments of emotional overload in the first place. And that's where routine, cool-down periods, and just overall mental hygiene become so important.
We touched on routine a bit, but I think it's worth emphasizing, especially for preventing burnout.
Oh, 100%. Think about it. When you're sleep-deprived, stressed out, and glued to the charts for 12 hours a day, your brain is fried. It's like running a marathon without ever stopping to rest or refuel.
And that's a recipe for disaster, not just in trading, but in life.
It catches up with you.
So what does a healthy trading routine actually look like?
Boundaries. That's key.
Okay, so like setting those clear boundaries between your trading life and your personal life.
Yes. Have a designated workspace, set specific trading hours, and stick to them as much as possible.
It's about creating that separation, right, between like market time and me time.
Exactly. You don't want to be in that high alert trading mindset 24/7 and then make sure to build in cool down periods.
Those non-negotiable chunks of time when you are completely disconnected from the markets.
Unplug completely. Spend time with your family, pursue a hobby, exercise, read, meditate, whatever helps you unwind and recharge.
It's like hitting the refresh button on your trading brain.
Exactly. Even short cool-down periods, strategically placed throughout the day, can make a huge difference in your stress levels and your mental clarity. And you know what else is incredibly helpful for processing those emotions?
Let me guess. Journaling.
Ding, ding, ding.
It's like journaling is the Swiss Army knife of self-improvement.
It really is. But seriously, why is it so important for traders? Imagine this. You've just finished this crazy up and down trading day. You close your laptop, but all those trades, those decisions, those emotions, they're still swirling around in your head.
Oh, it's like replaying a stressful conversation over and over in your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Journaling gives you a dedicated space to process all of that, to get it out of your head and onto paper.
I like that.
It helps you make sense of your trading day, identify patterns in your behavior, and learn from your mistakes.
So it's like having a therapist for your trading brain.
Exactly. What would you say are some things traders should be focusing on in their journal?
I think it's got to be those emotional triggers.
Yes. Those C-game errors and the circumstances around them. What happened? What were you feeling? What were you thinking? What was the outcome?
Really digging deep into those moments when you, like, veered off course.
And when you understand the why behind your actions, that's where the magic happens.
It's like you can start to anticipate those triggers and be better prepared next time.
And don't forget, journaling also helps you track your progress. As you start implementing Tendler's strategies, you can literally see how your responses to those triggers are changing.
It's all about measuring those small wins, those little improvements that lead to a more consistent approach.
Exactly. And remember, this is a journey. Lasting change, it takes time. There's no quick fix.
It's like any skill worth mastering. Dedication, practice, continuous improvement. It's a process.
And the beautiful thing is, those skills you develop in your trading, that resilience, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, it impacts every area of your life, not just your trading.
We're back for the final part of our deep dive into the mental game of trading. We've covered so much ground, from those pesky trading demons to building a solid routine, even journaling.
That's all connected, isn't it?
Totally. But now for the million-dollar question, how do we know if it's actually working? How do we measure progress in this mental game? It's not as clear-cut as, like, looking at our P&L, right?
Right. It's not always obvious. Tendler talks about resolution. And it doesn't mean those emotions just disappear, you're not going to be a robot.
Right, we're still human.
Exactly. Resolution is more about reaching a point where those emotional triggers, they don't have the power to derail your trading anymore.
Okay, so they're still there, but we've learned to, like, coexist with them.
Exactly. Think of it like marathon training. At first, those long runs are brutal. Muscles aching, lungs burning.
Been there, felt that.
But you train consistently, your body adapts, gets stronger, and those same distances, they become manageable.
I like that analogy. So instead of those emotional triggers sending us into a tailspin, we're able to handle them with a little more composure.
Exactly. Now, how can you tell if you're actually reaching that state of resolution in your own trading? Tendler points out some key indicators to look for.
Give me.
One is, are you able to stay cool under pressure? Imagine, like, the market's going crazy, volatility's through the roof, everyone's freaking out, but you. You stay grounded. You stick to your plan, make sound decisions, even if that means, like, stepping away for a bit.
Okay, so it's that calm in the middle of the storm, everyone else is panicking, but you're focused.
Exactly. Another indicator, that urge to make those impulsive emotional decisions. The revenge trades, the bad entries and exits, it starts to fade, even when you're not at your best.
So it's like that internal chatter, the doubt, it just kind of quiets down a bit.
Yeah, you're able to tap into that calmer, more rational part of your brain.
I like it. So less reacting, more responding.
And those emotional reactions, those highs and lows, they become less intense. It's almost like your emotional system has developed a shock absorber.
It's like we're building mental resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks, learn from mistakes, and just keep moving forward.
Yes. And as you achieve that resolution in those different areas, greed, fear, tilt, confidence, a new level of clarity emerges. It's like this fog lifts, you see the market more objectively.
Interesting. Because you're not letting those emotional distractions cloud your judgment.
Exactly. You have more mental bandwidth to focus on what really matters, finding opportunities, managing risk, and executing your strategy with, like, laser focus.
It's like you've leveled up your trading game, not just your technical skills, but also your mental game, your emotional intelligence.
And that's what it's all about. It's not just about surviving in the market. It's about thriving.
Finding that balance between profitability and peace of mind, which honestly, I think a lot of traders struggle with.
It's a journey. And it's important to remember, it's an ongoing process. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when those old patterns resurface.
So it's not about being perfect.
It's about being aware, being adaptable, and just constantly learning and refining your approach.
It's like any skill worth mastering, right? It takes dedication, practice, and a commitment to getting better every day.
And the best part is, those skills we develop as traders, that resilience, that self-awareness, emotional intelligence, they don't stay confined to our trading. They bleed into every area of our lives.
That's such an important point. This deep dive into the mental game of trading, it's been eye-opening to say the least. We've got a framework now, a roadmap, and a whole new perspective on what it takes to succeed, not just in the markets, but in life.
It all starts with the mind. It's our most powerful tool.
It really is. Well said. So, to wrap things up, remember, if our worst trading decisions often stem from unchecked emotions, mastering our mental game might just be the most profitable trade we ever make. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.